The Kodai Sonata was composed in 1915, and at that time, nothing had been written for solo cello since Bach wrote his cello suites nearly 200 years prior. And then Kodai came with this monumental 40-minute piece for solo cello that really revolutionized cello technique and required all kinds of new techniques from the cellist, including a lot of places where the cellist is playing a melody on one string and simultaneously plucking other strings, where the cellist plays at the very highest end of the cello's range, and the Kodai Sonata calls for a Scordatura tuning, or an altered tuning, in which the bottom two strings of the cello are lowered by a half step. So not only does he use the very top of the range, he actually lowers the bottom of the range and ultimately creates a 5-octave span in this piece. I thought the best way to honor this piece, including the special tuning that it uses, would be to commission a set of new pieces that share the same tuning. I wrote to about 10 of my favorite composer friends, and of course it was a very short notice request for pieces because I was writing in the fall of 2014 and this was a centenary project for 2015. Those 4 first composers to get on board were Brent Miller, Eric Clark, Alyssa Rose, and Lisa Koons. He will love me more. Lisa's piece is really unique because it's based on Grimm's fairy tales. So in the piece, I'm not only playing the cello, but I'm also narrating, whispering, singing, humming, and making all kinds of unusual sounds with my cello to create the effect of these stories. Alyssa based her piece on the Land's End Trail in the northwest corner of San Francisco. And her idea was to map the topography of the trail through her piece. And so she picked a short part of this trail which leaves from the city and then goes over hills and stairs and down rocky cliffs down to a beach. And so Alyssa actually mapped the harmonies and the shape of the piece and the rhythms to the sort of walking feel that you would get as you hike the Land's End Trail. Eric is an old friend from British Columbia, and we grew up playing chamber music together actually. Eric uses variance in timing and in pitch in his pieces, and because of this there's quite an interesting overlapping of sounds in both my cello playing and my voice in this piece. He also asks for a preparation of the cello. In this case, I applied miniature clothespins to my cello strings. The strings, when plucked with the clothespins on them, create this beautiful bell-like tone, or almost like a gamelan. Brent chose to write a set of miniatures, so each piece is less than a minute long, and each explores the relationship between Kodai and one of the major influences on Brent's compositional output. These very short pieces also incorporate Zen koans, these very short poems essentially, which I either speak in between the miniatures or before or after, sometimes during, sometimes I'll narrate while I'm playing. Early on in the process, Jerry Liu and Gloria Justin, both friends of mine, agreed to come on board and write pieces as well. And their pieces arrived early enough that I was able to include them in some of my tour concerts, and then I was able to fit their pieces onto the CD.